Councillor Iannicca.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick thoughts. Councillor Parrish touched upon it. I am concerned the extent to which, we think we might need $400,000 more, and as she said, that immediately becomes a target waiting at the finish line. It's not an upset limit, so you're in. And that concerns me, and the fact that it wasn't articulated or demonstrated a little bit more fulsome manner, but be that as it may. The other part as it relates to the cost, certainly on my behalf and behalf of my constituents, it's the classic, it is what it is. I mean, when I supported the inquiry, I said to myself, I'm not asking for a fixed amount of justice. We're asking for justice and a proper inquiry. It's very tough under that circumstance to say we rolled up and said, give me 20 bucks of gas. You've got to say, fill it up, wherever that journey takes you. And so I'm a little disappointed in the sense that we keep getting these reports, here's what it costs, and they're costing you 40 hours of work. What is somebody thinking that if you come back and say we've reached 5 million, we're going to say stop? I mean, and especially in the circumstances that we're describing where it's to seek justice, where politicians are involved, and so one of us around here has the courage to say stop now. I think our public deserves better than that. This is justice, and it doesn't matter where it takes you and who's involved. And the last thing I'd want to do is stop if we're trying to seek the truth and politicians are involved. It's just not right. So it's not even an academic argument. It's an argument you shouldn't be having in society. It costs what it costs to get to the truth under the circumstances, and I'm not going to deviate from that at all. I think in that regard as well, I think the costs are what they are, and I think this needs to be said, because we've bent over backwards as a council to be fair to everybody involved. I would think. I don't know what else we could have done to all of the participants, recognizing and respecting their rights and to be represented appropriately, and I fully support that as well. The only other point that I will raise, and I do want to give the Commissioner and the Council the chance to work through the process, because it's by far the most common question being asked of me, is if Mr. McCallion, whether he knew it or not, had certain assets and he was given certain funds thinking he did not have assets for legal fees, what is the recourse? Can that come back and the Commissioner, the Justice, can revisit it? And perhaps you can speak to that, or whether that's something that the Justice has the right to revisit at a later date or at some appropriate time.
The purpose of the inquiry will be for the Commissioner to make certain findings as to fact, and he will make recommendations, but you have to remember it's not a court of law, so he will not have the power sitting in this forum to require repayment or anything of that nature. I think at the end of this process, when we do have his recommendations, it's appropriate for us to look at them and assess the evidence and determine what action the city needs to take moving forward. And based on previous inquiries in Waterloo and in Toronto, legal action was taken where it was appropriate. In other cases, like the bulk of the changes were administrative process changes. And the Commissioner, in this case, will do the same. He will make recommendations that he thinks are appropriate based on the totality of the evidence he has. And right now we're at that awkward spot where we've got part of the evidence, but there's still at least 2 more weeks to go.
Yeah. Thank you. What I take from that is not as eloquently as you, but I hope I'm saying what you're saying in different words. What I've told any constituents is, let's let the process run its course. Let's let the reasons that we're here be answered. Let's let the Justice do his work, and we will revisit those or visit those afterwards. That's a fair way of putting it.
That's correct.
And I don't know where that takes us, but I think people want some indication that there's more to play out on that front. Very good. And certainly that's what I'm telling them. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.